I will be wearing my emotional support blanket throughout this video because A, I'm in my old hag out of a fairy tale era, and B, gotta stay cozy. Please respect my privacy during this time. Thank you. Hi guys, welcome to a video, and in today's video, I'm just going to be reviewing The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. If you're not familiar with The Honey Witch, it's a sapphic romantic fantasy about a witch cursed to never fall in love and the grumpy skeptic who melts her heart. As a disclaimer, this video will contain spoilers. I don't personally think it really matters, but you have been warned. So this book was promoted as a sapphic cottagecore witch romance, which is very much my cup of tea. So therefore, when it came up on my TikTok feed, I bought it straight away without doing any research on the book or even looking at the author's previous works. And oh boy, did I learn a lesson about impulse buying. I was taken to school, babes. So let's get into it. So the positives of this book are, number one, the concept. It's a sapphic cottagecore witch romance. That's literally the dream. The protagonist lives in a beautiful cottage, helping out the local townsfolk with her spells, and she falls in love with another witch who is revealed to be related to her arch enemy. So the concept is a really interesting one with a lot of potential that wasn't fulfilled, but still. Number two, the cover art is beautiful. Appearances can certainly be deceiving. And number three, the sapphic couple have a happy ending, which is still somewhat sacred in sapphic literature. So those are the positives. End of list. Now, why is this book one of the worst sapphic books that I've ever read? Well, first and foremost, it has to be the incredibly poor writing quality. To be succinct, the writing is rushed, lazy, thoughtless, and it lacks detail, depth, or any substance at all. All of the characters in this book are incredibly two-dimensional, and the dialogue is mostly wooden and contrived. I would say that the level of writing in this book is on the exact same level as a children's book aimed at a reading age of 7 to 9. And this is not a children's book, it's a book for adults. The author also consistently tells the reader what to think about every single character action and situation that unfolds. You are not trusted to come to your own conclusions or allowed to have your own interpretations about anything that happens in this book. Also, to open a book that is described and marketed as a sapphic romance and be hit with the protagonist waxing lyrical about her ex-boyfriend and having suggestive and sexually charged moments with another male character on top of that felt incredibly unnecessary and off-putting. In fact, at the beginning of the book, Marigold's whole vibe is basically simping for men, and it's only after getting her heart broken by that one special man that she decides to embrace a feminist mindset where there's so much more to being a woman than just marriage and babies. Not something she felt when she was dating the man she was in love with, of course. And on top of all of that, once she decides marriage and babies are beneath her, she mocks other female characters for wanting those things. Feminism. I also found it strange that the society that Marigold lives in seemed to be selectively progressive. For example, homosexuality is normalized and accepted in that society, but women are still expected to be married and they're also not allowed tattoos. And there's no explanation as to why this society is selectively progressive. It was bizarre. As for the sapphic romance, oh my god, it's so bad. Marigold meets Lottie, who is the love interest, and then more or less immediately forgets about her, goes off and does other things, and then when they are reacquainted, there's this weird, contrived antagonism between them. And it was abundantly clear that the author was trying to force an enemies to lovers dynamic upon them. Also, help her God. It was also difficult to get invested in the romance because the writing was so bad. As characters, Marigold and Lottie are essentially two empty husks. It's hard to be interested in them, let alone in their interest for each other. And any attempts to build up tension between the two of them or draw intrigue around Lottie just fell flat. I think the most wild and ridiculous scene in this book is where Marigold and Lottie stay at an inn and they start touching themselves in front of each other, which ends up killing Lottie. And Marigold gets so upset by this? Her magic powers shatter all of the glass, including the windows in their room. And this apparently goes unnoticed and unheard by everybody else at the inn. And then a bunch of bees fly through the broken window and sting Lottie back to life. Yeah. I mean, throughout this book, the character motivations are generally weak and in certain places completely nonsensical. For example, it was clear that Innisfree, the place where Marigold lives, was under a growing threat of destruction by Versa. Versa is like the big bad. And not only that, Versa had already actually started the attack. And this is a huge deal. In fact, we learn how much of a huge deal this is quite early on in the book. And whilst these attacks are happening, Marigold is just like, oh, I need to go away and attend my sister's wedding. It's literally her job to protect the land from these attacks, but she decides attending her sister's wedding is the priority. It's so stupid. No thought went into this book. None. Even the culmination of the story and Marigold and Versa's big battle fell completely flat. The character of Versa and the whole Ash Witch lore is, much like everything else in this book, largely glossed over and neglected. So as a result, her big return felt anticlimactic. She was also written as a very cliche villain, like the sort of villain you would find in a children's book. And once again, this isn't a children's book. The thing is, if this was a self-published work, I could cut the author some slack. And I don't think I would have been even as half as annoyed about having spent money on it. What gets to me is this is a traditionally published piece of work. And I cannot believe a professional publishing company would print a book of such poor quality. It almost feels dishonest to be sold a book with writing this dire from a professional publisher. Harry Wormwood vibes. But all of that said, I do acknowledge that I should have done the research, read some reviews, at least read a sample of this book before buying it. I'm the gay fool here. So, lesson learned. Kids, don't be like me when it comes to buying books. Just don't. Do your research. It was especially jarring going from this book to Bloomtown Genesis by Ali North, which I've just reviewed in another video if you're interested, if you even care. Because Bloomtown is self-published and yet the writing in it is practically Shakespearean in comparison to this. And that just highlights the current state of the publishing industry to me. I mean, I understand that publishers are a business, and of course they care more about profitability than producing quality literature. But I feel like there is a line. People buy traditionally published books because they're supposedly a marker of quality. And if they're no longer a marker of quality, then what's the point? Overall, in my opinion, this book is a 1-star read and essentially a waste of money. That said, I don't fully regret buying it because I learned a valuable lesson about not impulse buying books just because they're sapphic or because they look pretty. Okay guys, if you've read The Honey Witch, let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments section below. Maybe you loved it. Maybe you need corrective eye surgery. I don't know. Don't forget to subscribe for instant disappointment, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye. E.T. phone home.